what's up, peeps? This is George Teague. I'm one of the co-hosts of the Teague's Take podcast. We're glad that you're here with us tonight. Make sure you are following and subscribing to our Teague's Take pages and Twitter handles and on Instagram as well. You can find me personally at Teague Football on Instagram and Twitter. I do have some Facebook presence, but really just kind of post and things of that nature. So we do appreciate all that you do, all the support that we get, the continual fans, everybody's becoming Teaksters for really joining in with me and JT. You can also find our co-host, James Teague, who is my son, at BamaJ13 on Twitter. I don't know what his Reddit is if you're into that, but those are probably the only two things that I know that he has. Anyway. I've got a very special guest on that I'm going to bring in a little bit. We don't want to show him right now, but I've been promoting him and talking about him. He's a teammate of mine. Man, he's fabulous. He's won 3 Super Bowls. He got some. I think he still has a record actually in the league, or at least at Texas A&M as well. He played there. He's a first-round draft pick. And I probably hadn't told him, but I learned a lot about him, and I'll explain that in the show about some things with footwork. When you're around good players, you learn a lot of things. So Kevin Smith is going to be joining us as well. He is on the road, so we're very grateful and thankful that he's making his time available to come spend some time with us. So, for my run out today, I need to get something off my chest, man, a little bit, And this actually happened today, and it kind of stressed me out to no end. So this really ain't got nothing to do with the podcast, but I just felt like I needed to talk to some people about this because. I think I do a fairly good job on social media. I ain't the gurus. I don't have a million followers and all that kind of stuff, but I do got a good base of people that follow me, particularly on Twitter. And if you are ever around, or if you really go to Teague Football and see what I do, I'm posting about a few things. One of them, I'm typically tweeting about JP2, the high school that I work at now. I'm probably also tweeting about some type of barbecue, and I got a great Dallas Cowboys Star Grill that I'm always cooking on. I love to do backyard barbecue, so I'm doing things of that nature too. I'm always talking about sports, whether it's about NCAA, particularly with the Alabama Roll Tide team, or the Dallas Cowboys in the National Football League. So I do have some opinions and some things on that. Sometimes I give you some motivational stuff. Just to try to make your day better, and most of it's just all kind of positive stuff. But I got rubbed wrong today because I sent out a simple tweet. I'm fortunate to have a good little sponsorship, I'll say, with Kroger. And I got a really smart comment by someone because somehow my steaks that I was cooking from Kroger became some type of political statement. Now I'm scratching my head. Because I'm trying to figure out how this actually came down with someone saying I should not shop at Kroger, I should not eat that steak because of political affiliations that people have with that. Man, I tell you what, it had me fired up so much so I don't even know where the thinking came with that. And I basically told them, hey, this is something that's helping my family. I'm enjoying it. It really was just about looking at a very good, well-cooked steak. And for some reason, he felt like I need to be apologetic because of the place that I shopped at, and that I was apparently supporting someone he did not approve of. Well, here, let me tell you. If you don't want to deal or watch what I'm seeing, I'm not going to talk to you about politics. I don't care if I got a lot of followers. I got Democratic followers. I got Republican followers, independent followers, libertarians, whatever it is, they're all there. It's not my job to be able to tell you who to vote for, what kind of political affiliation you need to have, and things of that nature, because that's not what I'm about. And I don't need you in my timeline or in my feed telling me what I should be doing with that either. I will not intrude on you for your political beliefs. You have what you have. You do what you want. You do what's best for your family and yourself, and I will do the same. And I promise not to intrude you on that. So I ask you and I demand of you. I don't block a whole lot of people. I don't even like to get in a whole lot of spats. Sometimes we will. But it's definitely not don't follow me for political reasons because you're not going to get that from me. So I apologize for that rant, but I just need y'all to know that's not what I'm about. You tweet about whatever you want, and I follow you. And some of the people I follow tweet about political things, but I'm not going to comment on it. I'm not going to worry about it one way or the other because it's not my business. And so please don't make it mine either. Now, let's get back to like what I said I like to talk about. We need to talk about football. So I want to go ahead and bring in some very special people. The analytical one, James JT Teague, about to have another baby here. Well, his wife's about to have another baby here pretty soon. I'll be a granddad for the second time. Got me a granddaughter now. Have me a grandson coming up very, very soon. Hope you're doing well tonight, my brother.
I am.
All right, that's good. And we also have Kevin Smith. Can he hear us? He is on the line with us. He is stuck out in traffic somewhere. But you know what, man? I kind of gave you some accolades a little bit early. You probably missed it. I don't know. But outside of the football piece, this guy's a very good businessman too. Understands how to run his business, make some money, and things of that nature. So I'm very envious with him in a lot of things. But Kevin Smith played at Texas A&M. He was a first-round draft pick in 1992 out of Texas A&M. So we definitely got to talk about that some. I did not know this, but apparently, because I didn't think he had this kind of skill set, but apparently he used to return punts too, JT. So we got to talk to him about that a little bit. But he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. Here, played with some greats. He's always led the team, high up there with interceptions and passes defended all throughout his career. Got a little bit of injuries and stuff, but man, I'm telling you what, he was a leader of the Dallas Cowboys. Played 9 years. He was All-Pro, consensus All-American. So, JT, try to help me give him a welcome to Teague's page.
I got his picture up here until his feed comes back on the video, so people don't
just see him stuck in his car.
See him stuck in the car.
All right, Pup, can you hear us? I think he froze again.
I think he might be gone. Do you want to have him just call me?
Oh, yeah, I can do that. Let me see. So this is kind of stuff that we like to do on the fly. So I'm actually going to call him on his phone. Can y'all hear this? Let's see if he answers.
Okay, George, I got you.
Look, no, this is what we want you to do. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna text you JT's cell phone number.
Okay.
Call him, and we'll go without the picture, and I'll just let you call in. We'll just let you your voice be on. Is that cool?
Okay, that'll work.
All right, give me a second. Bye.
Yeah, live troubleshooting live. We are.
That's what we
well equipped to do this.
That's why I knew that I needed to have you on my team, because if this would have been me by myself trying to figure this out, I think I just would have been going to a monologue. Is that what it'd be called, for an hour of just me talking about whatever, JT, I kind of wonder how people do that sometimes, man, when you can just sit there and talk for 2 hours.
I wonder this all the time, because I watch people on stream, like on Twitch, and they might have a 6-hour stream, where kind of like what you did with Millions, right? You're doing something, but you're just kind of interacting with people that's in the chat. They do it for hours. I don't understand how they do it.
That was really fun doing the Millions things, but it is kind of hard when you're not actually in conversation with them, when you're reading the tweets. Even when I try to do the lives, like on Instagram and things of that nature, it's just different. I know it's cool and it's a good way to interact, but it's just kind of different. It's probably something I just need to get good at, figure it out, because we need to do spaces, but you still can have interaction with that on Twitter with people you know, actually talking to you. So it's, I don't know, man. I don't know that I can sit there and be a host like that. I don't know. Maybe I just need to give it a whirl one day and just put me out a script and just bloviate, not live, but bloviate, and let you figure out how to splice it, make me look good and feel
You
good
mean
about
let your
myself.
daughter do that? Video editing is not something that I've learned. Audio editing is difficult enough.
Yes. So we'll have some other episodes come out. JT has helped me with some things with the TapsCon series. I know I think I didn't give him the right permissions and all that kind of stuff, but hopefully we can get that worked out. So I apologize for not having those out.
Did you send
George.
them?
Yeah,
Can you hear me, George?
I can.
Okay. Yeah. Let's try it this way. I tried to call JT's number, but it's not accepting calls.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can actually hear you pretty well. So
Yeah, you're on the stream, so whatever you did, you worked it out. So this worked.
He's back
let's
in
try
the.
this
He's
right
back
here.
in the.
Okay.
We got it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
See? You must have. You sure you graduated from Texas A&M? Sound like you figured
he
out
left
a little
early.
technology. Oh, you left early.
I just signed back in, George. I don't know what happened, man. I need to be, like you said, I need to be at a wireless, some internet, real internet.
Well, that's okay. All right. So let me ask you about this, just in case we lose you. I want to jump into a few things with you really fast.
Okay.
A couple things I do want to cover with you, and I'll tell you kind of what they are as we're going through. I need to talk about A&M, Jimbo and Saban stuff. We need to talk about what you're thinking about the SEC and what the other people coming in. And, of course, a lot of stuff about the Cowboys because you had a whole lot of years there. So I know there's quite a few listeners that are really trying to interested. We're Bama folks. We're homers, but we are fair. And we're talking about this spat between Jimbo and Saban. So before we get into that, what do you think about Jimbo at the helm, leading the team now? How are people really feeling about him and with the growth of that program? And is he going to make them a real contender to win a national championship?
Well, I think what Jimbo did, he came in, and the one thing he came in and identified what he really was going to. He didn't have what he wanted to have when he first got. Of course, you don't have your guys there, but I think this third recruiting class, he was able to get out and get some of the guys that he felt like he needed in there to compete against Alabama and LSU and the SEC West every week in and week out. I still think they're a few pieces away, but they definitely put a good foot forward. But this last signing class, I'm impressed with it. I met him a few times. He seemed like a genuine guy. The recruits seem to like him a lot. The guys who played at Florida State, most of those guys feel they have good reports and good rapport about Jimbo Fisher as a coach. So again, but the proof has got to be in the pudding now. He's got to go out there and win some games and establish himself as one of the top coaches in the SEC, and not only that, in the nation. So it remains to be seen. We still got a long way to go. He has to find a quarterback. I don't think he's found a quarterback yet. So you're not going to win many games without a top quarterback in college football.
Amen to that. It's a pretty good running backs down there this past year. I don't know if they're still there. I haven't followed them enough to really know how.
Yeah, one got drafted. I think Spiller. I think he had another year. He probably would have helped himself if he'd stayed another year. He got drafted, I think, in the third round. I think not the 49ers. The Chargers actually got him in the third or fourth round. So, and he was a 1,000-yard back, good, tough, run between the tackles, SEC back, and he's got got a little scat back down there. So the running game was pretty decent, but you still got to be able to throw the ball and be balanced across the field if you want to. You can win some games, but to win the big games and be in the big bowl games, you're gonna have to have a little bit of both.
Well, let me ask you, since we had talked about A&M's quarterbacks. So you had your starter in Haynes King last year. He gets hurt. Zach Calzada comes in, has the game of his life against Alabama, and then dips out and goes to Auburn. I don't really understand that one, but your starting quarterback is still there. And now LSU, with their coaching turnover and all that kind of stuff, they have a quarterback leave and decide that A&M is the best place for him to be at. Who do you actually think is going to start at quarterback? Do you think this guy from LSU that I guess got benched for a minute there, and then I really don't know what's going on because I haven't heard too much faith about Haynes King. And then you're bringing in a guy from LSU who was supposed to start over there. So what do you think Jimbo thinks about who's actually supposed to be the guy starting week 1?
I don't know. I don't even think Jimbo knows that right now. I mean, Haynes King, evidently he won the quarterback battle last year and got banged up. He only played one game against a Division II team. And, he didn't have a great day that day. I think he had 3 interceptions, and they didn't really move the ball. They didn't really just run the team up and down the field. So he's still unproven. I mean, there's not much you could say other than, he's only played one college game. He's been there 3 years, but he's only played one game. Johnson from LSU is more proven. He was on I wouldn't say bad LSU team. It just wasn't one of the better LSU teams. And he's got the pedigree. It's Brad Johnson's. Is it his son, George, JT, or is his nephew?
I think it's his son.
He's kin to Brad Johnson. It's his son.
I think so.
He's a big kid, lefty, and and then they had a young guy, the 5-star came in, that he got a few reps. So by watching the spring game, and then from the reports, none of the quarterbacks look, just super. They didn't look. I mean, they looked average at best, and they blamed it on a 30-mile-per-hour wind that day. But again, you're gonna have to be able to throw the ball around a little bit in the SEC because most defenses. I mean, I don't care if you're playing Mississippi State, Ole Miss, playing Vanderbilt. Most teams are geared up. You're not going to run the ball up and down the field on teams. So you got to be balanced and creative. But I mean, right now, I would say that would be the missing piece with Texas A&M is, they don't have a quarterback. Now, if one comes out and has a career year, then, we can place our hat on that. But right now, I mean, you don't know. I don't know. We don't know. I don't think Jimbo knows for sure. But I guess he's at work. I mean, he's supposed to be that quarterback coach, to develop a quarterback and get these guys to the level that he wants them to be. So they don't, but right now I don't think they have it. That would be the weakest link on the team right now is a quarterback position.
Hey, so I know that you said you got a chance to meet and talk with Jimbo, and I also know that you played in the league. Did very well, stacked your money pretty good. You in on these NIL deals, man? He asked you to go get him a Bible quarterback or what? He asked you about 25 G's, 300 G's.
George,
what he asked for, $1 million?
Man, I wonder if they buy our throwback jerseys, man. I mean, we need to create something to go back on the campus and make some of that money, man. It's unbelievable. It's funny, George, because for a while I was working, did a little work at MJP, Michael Johnson Performance. And I had a chance to meet a lot of agents, and I talked to, I don't know if you remember Scott Castleline. I was talking to him just today about what the kids look for and how he's recruiting the kids out of college now. And he said it's hard because the NIL is not only affecting what's happening on the college football field and the recruiting from high school to college. The agents are having problems because now they're going to talk to a kid who thinks he's better than what he is. He's got $50,000 to $100,000 in the bank. So he's looking for more from that agent than what the agent could offer. Or they're like, well, if you don't have this, if you don't have the certain guy that's going to train me in a certain facility, and you're not going to put up 150, 200,000, then I'm not going to go your way. And that guy may be a guy that is telling them, hey, man, I've been told you're going to be a 4th to 7th round draft pick. I'm not going to spend $150,000 on the guy that's going to be a 4th to 7th round draft pick. But in his mind, he thinks that. So that's the dilemma that they're dealing with right now. So I think the NIL is a great deal. I think the players, Teague, George, JT, they should have been. It should be a way that players get some kind of stipend or, some kind of payment. But I think the biggest problem is that you got 80% of the guys on these, football teams, basketball teams that are not going to get anything, and only about 15 to 20% of them are going to get. Then you got 5% of them that's riding around campus on, in Bentleys and Porsches and cars like that. So it's got to be some kind of way that they got to govern it, or get it kind of under control. If they don't, then I think it's gonna jeopardize the level of play. I think it's gonna jeopardize the integrity of the game. And I heard Jackie Sherrill speaking on it, and he felt the same way. I heard him on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he felt the same way. He said college football will be in big trouble if they don't get this NIL deal under control.
You know what? You hit on a lot of really, really good points there. And I'm going to tell you what my solution was, Pup, that I thought they should have adopted. They really probably can't go to it now. But you remember when we had those little, I'm sure they still do it, the little money pool where we'd get them little extra royalty checks at the end of the year when we played. It could be 10,000, 14,000, 20,000, whatever. After everybody's, some people made more. Quarterbacks got some, but everybody got a nice little check later there. And I thought they should have done something similar to that they could have a pool TV money and all the jersey sales, whether it's by conference or by a team or by something, and make sure everybody got a little bit of piece and pay the guys a little bit more if they're super studs and their stuff is making more money than everybody else. But put it in some kind of IRA, retirement, something that they could have once they leave, to kind of set these people up, these players up for, once they got done. That was my thought. And those could be as big as you want them to be. If they can cut you a check for $100,000 to go into a IRA or something, then hey, that's good. As well. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean the only thing right now that it's so new that you don't really know like what market value is for a lot of things, right? The market value is whatever people are willing to pay for it. It's kind of funny because it's kind of like crypto, right? You can just like go through the roof, and then you look back a week ago and it's like down 20%, and you're like, okay, well, what happened? Nobody knows. But the thing that I think is going to get a lot of players in trouble is like that Bentley deal that the running back from Texas took. It's not a cash deal. They gave him a car. It's like, all right, great.
I missed this deal.
Yeah. He has a deal with Bentley
last week, a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
A dealership, and they just gave him the car. And you say, okay, well, great. But the thing that I don't know that many people think about, or some people probably are not even aware of, is that
luxury tax.
You still have to pay tax on that car, on the value of what that car is. But they gave you no money. So if you were already broke and they gave you a car, a Bentley worth of a car, how in the world do you pay taxes on that if you don't have any? You didn't have any money to begin with. So now so now the IRS is coming out after you because you owe money on the car. And you're like, well, wait a minute, it was a gift. And it's like, well, that's just the way it works. You still have to pay taxes on that asset. So
good point.
So I hope he's got that figured out, because there's been a couple of guys that have taken cars like that.
Right. You make a good point, because I think, and George, because you got the email. George, you and I, we do the Legends thing. You got the email maybe 2 weeks ago. And the swap out for that, JT, is we get a parking pass and we get a couple of suite tickets, right, T, George?
Yeah.
And so now we just got a letter last week that we are getting taxed for that. We have to pay almost, so they put a value on that, and we have to pay taxes on that money. It's not money in our pocket. It's just a ticket to the game and parking passes. But we now have to pay taxes on that. I think they value it at about $14,000 if you do 6 games, George. And I think it's, whatever, 33% or 35% of that. So we got to come up $3,000 to do that if we want to be legends of the Cowboy game still.
That's right. That's right.
And, if you opted in, which I did, but but it's not. It can't. It's not a gift. You're right. It's not. It's a form of payment.
Right.
Is what it is.
And the bad thing about it is, because I know there's going to be somebody that's going to hear this and be like, well, why don't they just cover the taxes for you? Because that would also be a gift in which you would also have to pay taxes on. Like, they can't pay taxes for you. That's not how taxes work.
Right. Yeah. But I'll tell you the one other issue I have with the NIL, and is you got a guy coming out of high school, and George, I know at Alabama you guys saw it all the time. You were there 4 years. You had that one guy that came in that thought he was the best thing since sliced bread, and he came in and he didn't meet those expectations, and he was gone in 1 year or 2 years, or he never touched the field. So now you have a guy coming in, a freshman, and you've been there 3 years struggling, and this guy comes in with $300,000 in his bank account, and he can't play. How long is that guy going to last on the football team?
He's going to go, and he's going to be depressed, and he's going to talk about mental issues are going to start happening because the weight of the shoulders is going to be on him too much. Is what I think.
But here's a guy that's struggling in the dorm. He doesn't even have enough money to get him a pizza, and he's been there 3 years, and he worked his way to the starting lineup. And here's a guy that comes in that's the 7th receiver, and he's got $300,000. He's riding around campus in a brand new Ram truck, and he's eating at Papados. I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. That's going to divide the team. That's going to create issues on the team.
Sure is. So,
I mean, we all struggled in that dorm together,
Well, y'all never struggled down there at A&M. Whatever, man.
We had a little cable, and
hey, man. So
all we had was
hey.
Yeah,
I just want to switch because we're always talking about rivalries and stuff, and I'm really kind of curious to hear from your standpoint. How big was the A&M Texas rivalry? Was that like the biggest college rivalry game that you really played in, or was it something?
Yeah. I'm sure it was like Alabama Auburn, because again, the reason why it was probably a rivalry for us, George, we knew each other. Most of the players either played each other in high school, or we played each other at the state level, and most of the guys that played Division I for Texas or A&M played multiple sports. So we crossed paths somewhere along the line, and from that standpoint, it was a rivalry. It's Texas, right? And plus it goes back so many years. The 2 largest public schools in the state of Texas. And it was a sad thing that it ended when A&M went to the SEC, and Texas thought it was a stupid idea, and A&M in the long run made it turned out to be a great move. And then guess who's following us back over there now? Texas. So, but I mean the rivalry, once it gets back going, George, it was the largest crowds in Texas history for games would be that the Texas A&M game. And not only just in football, but all the sports. It didn't matter if it was girls soccer or baseball. It doesn't matter. I mean, basketball. It's a big rivalry. And I know for sure most of the fans on both sides are anticipating when the Longhorns join back to the SEC, or not join back, but join the SEC.
Yeah. Do you think JT? Do you think they're going to match them up in the same conference where they can have this ongoing rivalry, get it back together? And it seems like it would be natural depending on how they draw the lines, if they go east and west or north.
Yeah, well, so I was actually going to put you guys on the spot and see how you think that they should probably start handling the expansion and what the schedule we're going to look like. I don't think they're going to do a just straight east and west anymore. I don't think it particularly makes sense. But if they did, I could see it would only make sense that Texas join the West and send Oklahoma to the East, even though it doesn't make any kind of sense. But if you were going to keep the current divisions as they were, I think you would, at least from a business standpoint, you'd want to see A&M, Texas, Arkansas, LSU playing each other like a round robin style, and then have Texas keep Oklahoma as its cross division rival, rather than trying to do all of this backbending and hurdle jumping to try to make sure that Texas and Oklahoma stay on the same side.
Right.
Exactly. And you, JT, you hit it right on. I'm hearing that it's going to be quads or fours. And you Arkansas, LSU, A&M, Texas, and then maybe Oklahoma, Missouri. I forgot who else is up there. Tennessee, Vanderbilt, something like that. Kentucky.
That's soft as cookies.
Oklahoma will be winning that division every time.
Well, yeah, the Oklahoma.
Then you got to put Alabama, Auburn, Florida, South Carolina.
Well, you got the Mississippi schools.
Yeah.
They're going to probably go with Alabama and Auburn, and then
Florida,
it was a deal out there today. Yeah, right. I mean, Oklahoma would win big going to the other conference. I mean, other than Georgia, right now, Florida is not as, not as see struggling a little bit. So Texas game definitely possibly can't be.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got to do something about this scheduling. I mean, even now, the SEC has terrible scheduling problems, and part of it is because they don't play 9 conference games like some of the other Power 5 conferences, and I understand why some of the smaller, or I shouldn't say smaller schools, why some of the less dominant SEC schools don't want to do that. But it really is a problem especially if you're an A&M or a Georgia Bulldog. Like since you've been in the conference, you've played each other one time, and A&M has never played at Georgia since they've been in the conference, which is coming up on 10 years now?
10 years, yeah. 10 years, 2012, I think.
Yeah. So to have, that long of a gap where a team has been in your conference and they have never played in your stadium, is a giant disservice, I think, for all of the fans, really. So they've got to figure out how to start rotating.
I never JT. Yeah, that's a good stat. I didn't know that.
Well, all right. Well,
I didn't know that at all. Yeah.
So listen, we're talking to Kevin Smith, 3-time Super Bowl champion, Dallas Cowboys, first-round draft pick coming out of Texas A&M, giving us a lot of great knowledge and insight. As you can tell, that's why he could have I think he could have a career, doing this stuff, brother, of talking football. I know you had a small stint there, I think, right, for a little bit.
Yeah, color commentary for a year, right?
Yeah. I did a little Aggie football, right? The year I retired, actually for 2 seasons, and the thing about it, I think what hurt me doing that was I was just so into the game as a player, George, that I couldn't, and I was such a fan. It was sometimes I would miss calls because I was, I'm cheering as a fan and not commentating the game like I needed to.
You pulled a Lamar Thomas talking about fighting. We don't do that on our field. Go get him.
Exactly, man. I was so into some of those games, and one of the bigger games that A&M won that year. One of the years I did it, they beat number 1 Oklahoma, and man, I was jumping. A guy named Reggie McNeil was a quarterback, and he made some great throws in that game, man. I mean, and then I was jumping up and down like I was a coach on the sideline. So, you get in that booth. I mean, I have the utmost respect for Tony Romo and of course Troy Aikman. Those guys do a great job in there, man. Because it's hard to call a game and be neutral when you put so much time and effort and sweat and tears into an organization. And people get upset at Troy and Romo and those guys. But I mean, they have to try to stay neutral. You know, they just really have to try to stay neutral. And I think they do a great job at it, you know.
They do, and people
for the most part.
People hate on them too when they're neutral because they feel like they should be homers and like, man, why they always hating on the Cowboys?
Right.
Blah blah blah. But hey, you gave me a good segue, so let's go into this because we've had you for almost a half hour. It is an hour show, so I want to get into the Cowboys a little bit because you're talking about these guys, and you know, I came in '96 to play with you guys. You guys had already won your Super Bowls and things, but man, you played with a lot of talented people. You know, Deion Sanders,
some great teams,
a lot of great teams. I mean, I can name everybody, and I'm blessed to be able to play with you guys as well. But when you start talking about work ethic and the way you guys built those teams to do that, who really stood out to you and you said, man, this guy was the guy that gave us the catalyst to be who we are?
Of course, you got to go with Michael Irvin and George, you were around. I mean, you know, Michael, he worked. Well, let me say this. Daryl Johnston said this one time, and it stuck, and it's always stuck to the back of my mind. He said, the best guys on a team are the best because they work the hardest, and that's why they're the best guys on the team. And guys like Michael Irvin and Troy and Emmett and those guys, they would be done with their workout by 9 o'clock. 8 o'clock, they were out of there. I mean, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, Moose, those guys were in that weight room, man. You know, they had other stuff to do. They had, you know, they were the faces of the team, so I'm sure they had golf tournaments and whatever else they did. But those guys, you know, from top to bottom, worked so hard. And then by example, I mean, you just had to do your part, you know. So everybody, the off-season program, you know, we had 95%, 96, 97% attendance. You know, it wasn't though, hey man, I'm in California, I'm here, I'm there. You know, just about everybody worked out, you know, with Mike Warsick when Warsick was here. But I mean, you know, Michael worked out. I mean, he was in the summertime, he had the shoulder pads and the helmet. Believe it or not, Alvin Harper worked hard. A lot of people don't give him the credit that he should get as far as being in that weight room and getting things done. You know, George, you know, we competed. All the DBs competed. It was an ongoing thing. The shuttle time, whatever it was. You know, bench press, the single leg squat, whatever it was. We all competed. You know, Brock, Darren Woodson, and you know, you missed Clayton though, didn't you, George?
Yeah, I didn't play with him.
Yeah,
he came late.
Miami.
Yeah, I played with him in Miami.
Yeah. So I mean, we man, it was just an ongoing competition of you know, of guys getting in the weight room, getting stronger, getting faster, getting our body, you know, making sure the body fat was down or whatever else. And it was just, you know, it was a team effort, and that's why I think we did well across the board.
Yeah, I think, and you guys kind of missed this, but I was actually just on a podcast before I came on here. It's a 3rd and 3 podcast with some people up north, and I was talking to them about that. It's funny you said that. They were asking me kind of the same kind of question, and I picked out Michael Irvin too because of what you said. It was the first time in my career where I came with someone actually had put their shoulder pads on, the helmets on, and stuck the mouthpiece in while running wind sprints or running routes while they were out there throwing, you know, in the offseason. I thought that was a pretty big statement that kind of makes you go, well, you know, I could come out here.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Am I doing enough? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And Mike would be out there in the middle of the day. You know, Mike was a guy, man. It's a funny story, George, is, you know, he know how to turn it on and turn it off. And so we all know it's no secret that Mike had his off the field episodes. And it was just, he would go when the season ended, whether it was a Super Bowl, the last playoff game in January, February. From February to March, Michael Irvin was going to do Michael Irvin. When the workout time, March came, man, that dude is nothing. He turned it on and turned it off. The problem was the guys that we tried to get to replace him or work beside him, he'd run them off. You know, he'd teach them how to chase cars, and then they get hit by a truck. And then I had a dog growing up, George. His name was Sylvester, and we always tried to keep 2 dogs. But Sylvester would teach the dogs how to chase cars, and then once he taught them how to chase cars, he would stop. And then we went through about 8 or 9 dogs. And that's kind of how I look at some of the receivers that came through. We drafted a guy named Macy Brooks, Jimmy Smith, Willie, what was Willie that went to Jacksonville? All those guys are Rondé Gaston. All those guys went on to have successful careers, but it didn't happen in Dallas because they was running those streets with Mike Irvin.
I get it, man. It was quite different. So I want to give you some props before I let you out of here because I want to talk about some DB play a little bit. But one of the things that I think JT might have heard me say this because I always used to do a T plant. There's a way I grew up. No, I'm sorry, that's not right. I was doing a bicycle plant where I was consistently moving my feet when I came out of the out of my brakes, and I was starting to have some toe issues. When I came here, I'll never forget this, and I appreciate you for it. I do give you 100% of the credit is that you started to teach me how to do the T-plant because that was a technique you used, and it helped me.
Open drive.
Yes, sir. So what do you think about this DB play versus now to how we played with the lax of the changing of the rules and things? What does it make you say, man, it was harder for us, or is it better for them, or just what are your overall thoughts about it?
I think the first thing I would comment on when we were talking about the bicycle T-step plant open drive is you do what's comfortable to you. And I talked to Caroline today. The young DBs are going to these footwork places and they're doing these drills. I mean, and I can go get an 8th grade kid, and he can do those drills, but if you can't correlate it to the field, if you can't take those drills and it's not basic football movements, efficient football movements, then you're really wasting your time. And George, you talk to you coach. A lot of the coaches in college and coaches, they laugh at some of these footwork people that's out here teaching these kids these movements. And a lot of it is wasted movements, is not efficient, but they believe that they're getting something out of it. It looks good, but it's not efficient.
Boy, you be looking good. You be on the Instagram, be like, woo! But okay.
Yeah, it looks great, but it's not efficient. It's not football related. Man, that ball is in the air. I don't care. I keep it simple with the kids I work with. You count 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. That ball is in the air. The receivers don't have time to do all that jitterbug and all that extra steps and all this. They got 3 seconds to get that ball off. And so as a DB, you just teach them that you want to beat that guy to a spot, have a good angle, and beat him to the spot at the time that he's going to be there. That's basically, it's that simple. But, I think they're overcomplicating the game with some of this, the younger guys. Or I think once they get to the pros, these pro coaches are not putting up with it. They basically take the kid, and if they don't get it, then they get cut. But the game has changed, George. Again, they want to score more points. I think the receivers are across the board, are better. I mean, the kids are bigger. I mean, you got corners now at 6'2". The corners are bigger than the safeties now in some cases. Mm-hmm. So, long arm guys that could get a press on a guy. But, I think the game it may be a little tougher on them, Teague. I don't know, you may differ in opinion. I think the game may be a little tougher on them because of the way the refs are calling the games.
Mm-hmm. Can't breathe on them. Can't touch on them.
You can't touch them. Yeah.
Look at them.
Don't look at them.
Yeah. You
can't hit them. There's certain ways. Yeah, in certain ways you can tackle them. For safeties, that cover 2 coming off the hash, Teague. You basically just should push the guy instead of, you trying to get him to separate from that ball. You can't really hit him high right now because they're going to call a penalty.
Yep. And I think, at the tail end of our era, about the time you retired, is when the game actually started to change because you were a very physical corner, particularly with your hands, liking to play up on the guy. And I think it was about that time where they started that 5-yard chuck rule. Was it about the tail
Right,
end of your time where you couldn't do
right,
that
yeah,
anymore?
right in about the about the mid '90s, they did it. But they called it tough on us, man. They knew we were going to be, in the press most of the time, 90% of the time. It didn't matter. I tell people all the time, they say, man, you guys ran man to man all the time. I said, no, actually, we were in a zone. We just they made us press every time. It was, man within a zone. Whether it was switch or cover three, if they came out wide, I had my man and Dion had his man. And we called it another name. We probably can't name that name on the podcast, George, but what Dion called it. But get
Yeah.
your, you know
Get
what?
your, yes.
Get your.
Get your.
We had at JT. We had a guy come in, and he was like, "Man, what? I understand. What's the coverage?" And Dion said, "Get your N word." That's basically was the coverage. And he said, "Man, but what is the coverage though? I hear, I don't know if it's Campo or Zimmer kept yelling switch." He said, "I thought it was switch." Dion said, "Man, just go out there and get your whatever." So he said, "Man, he said, basically, y'all just playing man to man out there." I said, "Yeah, that's what it is." I said, if they come out there, you bump. The only way you don't play man if he cut his split real short, and he cut across that field real fast, and you could pass him on to the linebackers or the safety can jump on him. But other than that, we play man to man out there, press technique. And so that I got a lot of. I don't know if you remember, George. Yeah, you were there. I got a lot of penalties one year. I think I led the league in PIs.
Yep.
97 or 98, one of those years.
98, I think it was. But
it's 98, yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about the staff now, current Cowboys? I'll talk about Dan Quinn, Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy. Who should they be there? Who's really the guy? Is Sean Payton coming in? Are we putting too much into this coaching carousel and all this kind of stuff, or is it some of the stuff warranted on the critiques?
Uh-oh. And you asked him that question, and I think we have officially lost him.
All right. Well, you might be able to answer that for me. We're putting too much in this, and if he comes back, great. If we miss him, we do appreciate him. Didn't have very much more for him anyway. But what do you think about that, man? I'm thinking about, I know it's about that time to start getting ramped up. People are starting talking about, is Kellen Moore really the real deal? It's already getting ready to get started.
Well, I don't think that Sean Payton is walking through those doors anytime soon. I think he's still under contract for like 3 years. However, I will go on record on saying that I have said in the not too distant past that maybe Kellen Moore is just not he's not the prodigy of a offensive coordinator as some people would try to lead you to believe. Because there was that whole thing of, well, if you're going to get rid of McCarthy, then you might as well just go ahead and make Kellen Moore the head coach. And then, then you say, well, is Kellen Moore really ready to be a head coach? No, but I don't want to lose him to somebody else. And I'm kind of like, I don't know that Kellen Moore is the second coming of Sean Payton. I have not seen enough from the Cowboys offense over the last few seasons to feel that way. I'm really just excited that they were able to retain Dan Quinn. Maybe part of that is just because of how bad that Mike Nolan defense was before Dan Quinn. But hey, I mean, you can't argue with the results on the field. You got Michael Parsons doing everything that he needs to be doing. I mean, he was a Pro Bowler. You had a corner who may have given up 10 football fields worth of receiving yards, but also had 11, 12 interceptions. So, if you can keep that up, I mean, even if the defense is not as good as they were last year, but are just kind of in that area, that's still a very, very good defense. So
We'll be in a good spot. That is going to help because I'm really not sure how good our offense is still going to be. I'm worried about that. I'm just with the changeovers and is Zeke really healthy or not? How are we going to use Pollard? The wide receivers core are going to be there. I just don't know.
Well, let me ask you this: I know that there's a large section of the fan base that's like, hey, we should Tony Pollard should just be the lead back. Is there part of you that says, hey, maybe this Tony Pollard being the running back experiment need to be over and just put him back at his actual position?
Which is what?
Receiver.
Slot or something? Yes.
He played receiver at Memphis.
Yeah, I don't think everybody's talking about these things, and I hate when people talk about things that aren't really gonna happen. They're not going to put Pollard in front of Zeke unless something just happens. He gets hurt and it's done. It's not going to happen. Jerry don't operate that way. The league don't really operate that way. Something's got to be bad enough that you're going to, bench a guy like that. And I don't see that happen. So I don't see that. I think you got to find a ways to utilize both of those guys. I think he's a threat, and whether wide receiver, I don't know. That's kind of a different feel. Maybe he played it before he didn't get into it, but I don't know that he necessarily moves like that for the National Football League.
The reason I ask is a little bit because I'm trying to pull up his college stat line because I don't think he was actually ever he was a wide receiver running back, but he had
you have 100 catches in a year or 80, 70 catches. I don't know what.
No, he didn't have that many catches in a year, but he always had until his last year, he always had more receptions than he did rushing attempts.
Yeah, but that's how they're using it now. Screens, bubbles, line him outside, throwing the ball. He can find good matchups because he's better than a linebacker and some safeties, as far as trying to get open. So I think they can utilize him. I think both of them can be on the field. Or if you're saying that's so when you get into talking about football like that, right? When you bring in two tailbacks, you have to decide from a defensive standpoint, is that a 2 running back set or is that really a 11 personnel? When you got a guy like that where they can easily flex him out to put him outside a receiver or in a slot or something. We try to create those matchups. And that was one of the things that I really, I already knew about it before, but it's becoming more and more that way with so many teams having 2 prominent running backs. And so you got to look by situation, field position, and all that kind of stuff, that if they bring these guys in there, is this to run the ball or is this to throw the ball to one of them? Next time when you're doing your what's the thing you have, the all 22, start to look at how many times they actually line up with Zeke outside and then they move him back. How many times in a game do they actually do that? Because they're trying to see something, trying to catch a matchup. Same thing what they do with Pollard when they put him out there. Do they move him back or do they not? Until it start to happen, So anyway,
I'll try to keep an eye on it. So I'm gonna try to avoid going on a rant on the all 22 because it used to be good. Now it's awful, and the price went up and the quality has gone way down. I think there's still Cowboys games that they have not put on the Game Pass.
No. Well,
so, because remember we were going to do the thing where we were like, hey, they put them up, at least by Tuesday. And then it's like 3 weeks later and it's like, yeah, they just never put the game up. And I was like, why am I spending this much money per month to not even get the thing. I'm just kind of like throwing cash to the NFL for no reason.
Well, yeah, you gotta help. We gotta all do our part. So, it was really good talking to Pup. I didn't get a chance because I wanted to ask him about Jerry Jones and his relationship with that family and stuff. He had mentioned that we get to do a lot of the legend stuff together, and we see him at a lot of the games, and we're signing autographs and do things. And he's one of the guys that I do stay in contact with. As you can tell, he does have a lot of good businesses. I wanted him to be able to talk about some of the restaurants that he owns actually in the Metroplex here. He owns some taco places, and they do all kind of things. So he's doing very, very well on and off the field, and he's a pretty good name for the Cowboys, and that's why they really have him involved. You can hear how he talks and how he loves the game, and he's a big fan. So very thankful that he was able to spend his time on with us again, and maybe we're better to get him on again at another time when he's
at home,
not necessarily on the road or traveling. Yeah, he's super busy, man. He's talking about that stuff all the time, so it's been really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and if not, we can always just actually have him call in. Then that's a little bit more stable connection, so we know better for next time.
Well, we'll look out in the fall if we do decide to go on location. Hint, hint, hint. If we do decide to go on location sometime with him,
he has restaurants.
Maybe we can. Look at how you thinking. Maybe we need to go on out there. Yeah, but you're so technical. You're gonna have to do a drive-through and make sure the internet's right and the plug close enough. And,
yeah, I mean,
it'll take us 2 months to get ready for it.
It will. We got to do it right.
Well, that's what we do. We do things right here. Yeah, which reminds me, you guys make sure you be on the lookout for some changes with the websites and all that kind of stuff. We apologize. We hadn't been as efficient as we could be. Teague.com. But we are working on some things to try to get that up in another month or so, where it can be a little bit more effective and user friendly, I guess, for you guys. So we're getting better. I tweeted out it was our 100th through Buzzsprout. It says it was our 100th episode. I know I feel like we've done more than that. I guess it depends on how you count it, with all the other bonus shows and things.
Yeah. Some of the bonus shows that are only on YouTube are not on Buzzsprout, but
so we've been going strong, and we appreciate the support with that for sure. You guys just make sure you're paying attention, subscribing, hitting those likes, telling people about it.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell. Yeah, hit the bell so because I get that often too. Man, I keep missing it. Someone just told me that a guy down in Florida is like, man, I thought it was at such and such a time, and so because we changed and he didn't know how to. I don't know where he was doing it before, but I said, no, you got to just go to the YouTube page, hit the little bell, and it'll tell you. He's like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. So I don't know where he was getting his reminders from before, but anyway.
Yeah,
make sure you guys
you definitely need to hit the bell in the off season because we are irregular in the off season. But once the season starts, we'll be back every week, so we'll be much more reliable for your schedule. But hit the bell anyway.
That's right. And don't forget, you can always go on and download it from your favorite podcast host channel, something. I'll get that terminology right sooner or later. Whatever it is. But it's been a great one, man, JT. Big day. Well, I keep talking about I'm going to be an empty nester. Well, I'm definitely going to be an empty nester now because Jada Teague is about to be out of the house tomorrow, like gone. But I'm kind of mad at her because she picked the hottest damn day in Texas for me to try to go be in a U-Haul and move some furniture when it's going to be about 108 or something out there. So, I'm just trying to get hydrated, give me some rest because I know my back going to be hurting tomorrow while I'm moving these couches and mattresses and things. All right, JT, any last parting words before we go? We're right there at an hour. So any special shout out, something you need to say?
No. I mean, we got sporting news. PSG's hired a new coach, apparently. The thing that I'm watching right now is, I know it's going to be incredibly boring to some people, but the candidates tournament is a chess tournament that's going on right now. Winner of the tournament gets to play the world champion later. Kind of, you know, they kind of do it like boxing. You have to win the world champion gets to sit and wait, and then the other people play for the right to play against the world champion, and then they do a very long match in November. So that's going on right now. That's been actually very exciting. There's been a lot of storylines around that, and the world champion had a lot of things to say today, which was kind of hilarious because he was just roasting. I mean, he was. You ever watched Gladiator?
Yes.
You know, so the guy is sitting in his chair and he does the thing and he gives a thumbs down. That was basically what Magnus, the world champion, was doing today, and he was like, yeah. So he was talking about a guy playing his game, and he's like, yeah, he's just had this great position, and then he just decided, yeah, F this, I'm gonna just move my queen around and just lose the game the whole time. I was like, dude, this is what's going. I mean, that's like Tom Brady watching that Bills game, the Bills Chiefs game, and being like, yeah, the Chiefs or the Bills were doing everything they needed to do until Josh Allen just decided that he wasn't going to throw a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter.
Right. Well,
so very entertaining stuff. It's been.
I'm glad I got you inspired on the chess match. I'm taking all the credit for your now chess match because I know you got into it, and the one maybe two times we played, he beat me both times, but he knew he had to up his game when old dad had to make it work a little bit. He's like, whoa, I got to do better here.
Yeah, I've been practicing.
So I know now you got me wanting to go practice a little bit too, just so I can get back in the game a little bit. But anyway, man, it's been fun. It's been good. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow when I come and get this mattress from you.
Yep.
And with that, man, let's go ahead and get out of here because I got this monster coming up here upstairs right now. Oh,
boo. Boo. Hold on. I gotta find my
let's see. She can't hear you.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Wow. Oh my gosh. Is this how you treat your guests on Teague's Take?
Well,
Oh.
we have to... I ain't doing it. He's doing it.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Well, we're glad you're home. And I'll just tell them how you're going to be up out of here tomorrow.
Yes, my last night here. Okay. And don't. I know this is just what your podcast needed was for
oh
me
my
to
God.
I mean, I'm sure the views just skyrocketed.
Okay. Well, that is the best way that we could ever end Teague's Take. So we won't be here next Wednesday. We'll be back in a couple Wednesdays. I don't know when that's after the 4th. I think it's July the 6th.
Is it?
Yes.
Well,
I think it's
I guess
July
you'll tweet it out.
6th. July 6th. So y'all have a great evening, great night. Thank you for everything. We up out of here. Peace.